So hey guys, in this video we are looking at Nvidia's GeForce Now. It is a cloud game streaming service, so you can play your games in the cloud on data centers, and using powerful computers there, it renders the game, plays the game, and it streams the live video back from the game to your home, so you can play the game remotely without needing any powerful PC, any powerful gaming equipment. This is very much like Google's Stadia, which is also a cloud gaming service. There's some subtle differences with the Google service. You can play on your Pixel, on your Chromecast, on your TV. With Nvidia, you play on your PC, Mac, or I believe Nvidia Shield. Both services, the Stadia and GeForce Now, are not yet released. This is a beta preview that we'll be looking at, unofficially, of course. So this is just to give you an idea of what we might expect when it does release. I am loading up 3 versions of Team Fortress 2, all the same game. I'll be going into the same game, but from 3 different computers essentially. So on this computer, we have a Nvidia Titan RTX. It's a $2,500 video card with an Intel i7, 64 gigabytes of RAM. It's connected over Ethernet to a Rogers internet connection cable modem, and it has a connection speed of 1.5 gigabits per second down and 25 megabits per second up. Now, in the center, we have on the same computer, we have GeForce Now running, the beta, and we have Team Fortress 2 loaded also. It's been loaded up through Steam, through GeForce Now, which is pretty cool. Team Fortress 2 is a free game, so which is why I'm picking it, so I can load up a 3rd copy as well. This is a laptop running a GeForce 1060, and it is on Wi-Fi, just to show you what the latency of Wi-Fi might look like. So again, this is the GeForce Now. This is the Titan over Ethernet, and this is the Wi-Fi. I'm going to press the button. Okay guys, so I loaded up another server. This server is very low latency for the GeForce Now system. It had a latency of 1 millisecond. So I'm just going to do the same test just to show you what the latency looks like now between these 2 systems. From what I see personally, they are identical. So in this test, I'm going to hold the mice together, and I'm going to move them at the same time. They're physically connected, so we should see the same input, and I honestly cannot tell the difference there. So now we're just going to look at the GeForce Now's interface. It seems we can play Blizzard games or games on Steam. So if you already have purchased the game, you don't have to purchase it again to play it on GeForce Now. That's pretty amazing. And it differs from Google Stadia in that with Google Stadia, I think you have to buy the games on the platform to play them on the platform. So GeForce Now might be more of a subscription service to play using their servers, and Google Stadia might be more you buy the games and then you get to play over the cloud for free, only the games you buy. I don't quite know yet. Both these are still in beta. I'm not paying for GeForce Now at the moment. It's free. I just have to provide my own games or play games that are free. Now, I am going to be trying to load up one title. This is Quake 2 RTX. And to do so, we just log into our Steam account, search for Quake 2 RTX, and hit play. Now this is a new game that requires a very powerful graphics card, and as we can see, it's not supported by GeForce Now. My Nvidia Titan, though, plays the game reasonably well at 4K. So there's a little bit of screen tearing. That's just because of the way I'm capturing the graphics through an HDMI capture card. So instead, to do this next test, we are going to be using Rust. And I have Rust at ultra high graphics. This is also with the Titan. So my main desktop computer. And again, there's some screen tearing because I'm capturing over an HDMI capture card at 30 frames per second. Although if you look at the frame rates in the top left, you can subtly see that we're going almost at 60 frames per second or so. And 60 frames per second or so at 4K graphics, maxed out quality, everything is on max. I think I turned off a couple features that annoy me. Everything is very sharp, all the details, everything is pixel perfect. Okay, so now what we have done is we've loaded up Rust on GeForce Now via Steam, and we set the resolution to 4K, and we have maximized all the graphic settings, the same settings as what we had on the Titan. Different map, unfortunately. It was hard for me to get to the same place, but what we're seeing is 47 frames per second. So, it might be maybe 15% slower than the Nvidia Titan, but this would probably indicate the game performance being on par with maybe a GeForce RTX 2080 Ti, something like that. The image quality is a little lower than what it should be, so it might get a little softer than normal at times. Still very playable, still very attractive looking, but some of the finer details wash out. That might be due to my connection or who knows what. So at this point, I decided to see if my laptop over Wi-Fi would still be reliable to play on. And I moved everything over, and I found that there was a settings option in the GeForce Now app. So I ran a network test on my laptop. I thought it was a little bit interesting that the results showed that the closest connection was US West, a US West server, although I'm in US East. But my connection still met the requirements, over 50 megabits per second, and a good ping, so no problems there. I also noticed that there were these other options for streaming quality, which is pretty cool. I had it set to balanced initially, which is 1080p at 35 megabits per second, but there's data saver and a competitive mode, which is 720p and 120 frames per second, which are really, really cool options. I'm just going to go with the custom option here, max out the bitrate, 50 megabits per second. The highest resolution that it can output apparently is 1920 by 1200, but I'm going to go with 1920 by 1080. I'm going to drop it down to 30 frames per second and turn VSync on because I'm trying to capture to my HDMI capture card to capture the quality rather than focus on latency testing, which I looked at already. So I'm going to load up Rust and show you how it looks. That way, I am going to be capturing it at 4K resolution, 100 megabits per second to my SSD drive, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so this is how it looks at 1080p, 30 frames a second, captured to an HDMI card at 4K. Bitrate should be 50 megabits per second. It might not meet that exactly, but it looks like this is quite a bit sharper than when it was at 35 megabits per second before. So my Wi-Fi is an 802.11 AC 5 gigahertz connection in a non-congested area. I have pretty good reception. To my router, where my laptop is, it's only a few feet away from the router. So this is still pretty ideal for Wi-Fi. There was a little yellow error on the side of the screen a moment ago. That's gone. So it would imply that my connection is pretty reliable, not having challenges. Quality looks pretty good as far as I can tell. It's hard to tell the difference between this and 1080p, natively from my video card directly to the monitor at this bitrate. At 35 megabits per second, I could tell the quality was a little bit softer, a little bit mushier, but at 50 megabits per second, it's nearly indistinguishable. So when I first heard about Google Stadia and Nvidia, I was a little bit skeptical that these services could really offer gaming performance that I would be happy to use. I was worried about blocky video or, more importantly, high latency. Being a competitive person, I care about those things. But from everything I've seen, as long as you have a good internet connection and relatively generous data caps, or no cap at all, it makes for a very compelling use case. You can play any game you want within a few seconds, and you can play from your own Steam library in the case of Nvidia's solution. Yeah, I'm thoroughly convinced. For me personally, I still have my Nvidia Titan and a powerful desktop, so I can still get 4K resolution with the same latency at home without having to pay for any online service. But short of having a high-end gaming PC, this is a very compelling offer. And yeah, very compelling. I'm thoroughly impressed. So my thoughts on this is it could very well be the future for a very large amount of the world. And the future might be moving towards 5G connectivity, where latency could be 1 or 2 milliseconds, bandwidth could be gigabits per second, straight to your phone, your tablet, to your laptop. As long as these network providers, these ISPs, can offer essentially unlimited data for the purpose of game streaming, the future could be very compelling there as well. For example, Nvidia could sell a game server to Bell or Verizon, and they could offer unlimited gaming to their customers for an additional $50 a month. And although you might be capped at 30 gigabytes a month for the rest of your internet package through that 5G connectivity, you could play all your games that you want on your tablet or laptop at 4K resolution at just $50 a month. And that would be, that to me, that's very compelling, because I would spend $1,500 on a gaming laptop easily. And yeah, imagine playing on a Chromebook or a tablet and getting better quality for just something like $50 a month. I think it's a very exciting, very compelling future. Probably 5-10 years off, if ever. But yeah, anyways, cool stuff, guys. AMD and Nvidia are both providing solutions here. I think Google Stadia is provided by AMD, and Nvidia's trying to do it their own way, I guess, selling directly to ISPs. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.